All right, so this is going to be a reading for Sagittarius. And for the Sagittarius that I'm reading for today, I'm seeing that there's a lot of stress here around like what is my purpose in life? What is my career supposed to be? When am I going to have the perfect relationship? Kind of all of that. There's a sense of a deep desire that you have with the star, the Ten of Cups here, and the Wheel of Fortune, where you're like, kind of, when am I going to have that wish fulfillment? When am I going to reach my destiny? There's a strong sense of fate here, maybe a feeling like everything's fated, but you're waiting for it all to kind of happen. So if that's you, then this reading is for you. If it's not, leave what doesn't resonate and take the rest. Maybe check out my other readings. They're all timeless. But that's what this reading is going to be about today, Sagittarius. And before I continue, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for receiving this reading. If you would like a personal reading, I do offer them on my website, ajstarot.com. Which is also linked down below in the description box. I offer pre-recorded readings, live readings, whatever you want, and also mediumship readings. So check that out. And if this reading resonates with you, please take a moment to like and subscribe, as that helps me out a lot. So let's dive in here, Sagittarius. The overall energy is the Nine of Swords, so some anxiety there. Let's see what that is about. The Eight of Swords, the Three of Cups, the Moon. Let's look at that Three of Cups. Temperance, Justice, Ten of Swords. There's something that maybe happened in the past that still really affects you. I'm seeing falling outs with people, maybe multiple people, just connections that didn't work out as well as you'd hoped. And I'm seeing that some of them could have extended over a long period of time, possibly years. And there's a feeling of betrayal from these people too, of like, I thought this was the right thing for me and it wasn't. And that's really painful. And it stays with you, this energy, this pain, and it sort of transforms into a feeling of anxiety about the unknown. You could maybe trust yourself less after whatever you went through, because it didn't work out with these people. And so then there's this feeling of, I don't know what's coming next, and I'm nervous about it because these things in the past didn't go well. And it really is about heartbreak, it's about pain. And sometimes that heartbreak and pain, it can be overpowering, and it can literally become sort of this fear, this anxiety about connecting with new people, new things, new energies. So if that's what you're going through, Sagittarius, I really feel for you. It's very hard. It's a hard spot to be in. But just remember that our past really doesn't define our future, even if it seems like things have only ever been difficult. Every day is a new day, and every new beginning offers us an opportunity for exactly that, something new. So try to stay open to that. In the current energy, I see you going through sort of a resting period. In the recent past, we have the Four of Swords, the Four of Wands, and the Hierophant. So the number 4, or 444, could be significant to some of you. All right. For the Four of Swords, we have the Ten of Pentacles, and Knight of Cups, the Fool. Again, I see you in this resting place before you begin something brand new. You're showing me one thing ended, it's over, and you're starting to kind of open your heart up to something new. You may not know what that is. I'm seeing you just kind of being hopeful, being open, and you get to that space through rest. So especially if this situation did really burn you out, or it did really affect you on a deep level, there is a process of recuperation that needs to take place. And I see you kind of recognizing that and stepping into that resting period. Let's take a look at the Four of Wands. The Three of Wands, the Six of Cups, the Ace of Swords. I see you understanding something about whatever happened in the past, but also trying to make sense of it, maybe waiting for clarity, looking for clarity in the past. Because this could have been a situation that you thought was stable, you thought it was good, it was positive, and I see you sort of looking back possibly on a specific conversation, on a specific insight that you gathered, maybe a particular day where something notable happened. And now you're looking at it from the outside, whereas you used to be inside of it, you used to be directly experiencing it. Now you're looking in on it in hindsight and saying, what did this teach me? Let's look at the Hierophant. What did it teach you? The Hierophant is the spiritual teacher, so there is like a spiritual lesson within all of that. I also just heard Earth School. Earth School, that's the idea that we come to Earth, we incarnate here in order to experience the spiritual school of the Earth realm. That we come here to learn things. There are specific lessons we're learning, and so that could be significant for you as well. For the Hierophant, we got the Two of Cups, the Devil, the Ten of Wands. There's a lesson in here about what it is you commit yourself to, what it is you put yourself into, and there's something that happens there about like a really toxic sort of attachment that you may have committed yourself to that ultimately, it stacks up and stacks up and stacks up into something very difficult, something very heavy. And so there's a lesson about who are you attaching yourself to? What are you committing yourself to? Are they healthy? Are they good? And what's going on for you when you attach yourself to things that aren't so healthy and aren't so positive, so nourishing for you? And there could be a compulsive aspect to that as well, an addictive aspect. I just heard relationship addiction. So some of you could feel like almost like compulsively drawn to relationships. That might be something that you're kind of working through. Let's look at the current energy. We have the Star, the Ten of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune. Like I said, a lot of destiny and fate at play here. That feeling of everything is happening for a reason. And also recovery, healing, rest, renewal, all of that. Let's take a look at the Ten of Cups, the Nine of Cups, the Hermit, the Death card. This is kind of a similar energy to the last reading that I did a couple of days ago, which is about your idea of happiness transforming as you grow. There could have been something or many things that you thought, this is it, this is what happiness would look like for me. And then as it ended, you discovered, actually I'm meant for something else. Or through the healing process, the death process that's present there, you're kind of like, oh, I think I'm better off by myself. I'm better off moving in a different direction. It's a very deep spiritual process with the Hermit, the Death card, and the Moon at the bottom of the deck as well. It's a feeling of like you're moving through something that only you can fully understand, and through that you transform through this higher understanding of yourself. All right, really big spiritual energies here today. Let's take a look at the Star. We have the Five of Swords in the reverse. We have the Six of Swords, and we have the Three of Swords. Yeah, this is you moving on, and also moving through your pain. You're not just avoiding it. You're starting to understand where maybe you weren't seeing things clearly. For many of you, you're being very honest with yourself about where you feel you went wrong or what you could have done differently. There's definitely this energy of, it wasn't just everyone else around me, I also played a part in this. And through being very honest with yourself, you're moving through the pain. And at times it could feel very difficult. It could feel very kind of heady, kind of analytical. But overall, you are on this healing process. You are on this healing journey. And it allows you to become closer to yourself in the end, and closer to what happiness really looks like for you. So there's a really beautiful growth process happening here. Even if it feels very difficult, I do see you really crystallizing that energy and then also transmuting it, changing it with the Wheel of Fortune by being honest with yourself about your role in things, the way it made you feel, what it is you desire, what this ending looks like. You're fully closing out the process and you're moving towards something new. And for many of you, this could be a fated process. You know, maybe before you were born, you agreed, you signed up to go through whatever you went through, no matter how hard it was, because of the lessons that it could teach your soul. And many times people go through these really hard things in life. I mean, really nasty, difficult things. And they're like, how dare you say that I chose that? Why would I choose that? But again, with this idea of the Earth School, it's not like you chose it like, oh, I really think I would have a great time if I went through that. But before we incarnate, we choose experiences that are meant to teach us something on a deep soul level that we can integrate spiritually into the next life and the next life and the next life, into our very being, the very fabric of our being. And so even though you might sit there and think, no, I didn't choose this, on some level, you may have signed up for this very difficult task so that you could learn something from it. And I see you learning and metabolizing those lessons right now. Let's take a look at the Wheel of Fortune. I also just heard spiritual warrior, so many of you could be spiritual warriors as well. For the Wheel of Fortune, we have the Eight of Swords, the Queen of Cups, and the Five of Cups. Whatever happened here, it changed how you relate to your heart. You may have been very open, very giving, very generous, very trusting, and this was so painful that I see you becoming very guarded and very, kind of locking up that heart space, guarding that heart space from any pain. And it's time for you to kind of shift out of that and open up your heart once again. But part of this healing process is going to be about those blockages guarding the temple of your heart. And that's going to be kind of the next phase of this, as I see you being really resistant to opening up. In the near future, we have the Seven of Wands, the Nine of Wands, the Seven of Pentacles. So you are waiting for something here. You're working through these things. But with the Seven of Wands, the Nine of Wands, that's a very, very guarded energy to the point of being almost entirely closed off. And it's time for you to kind of work with that energy. And open up the doors to the temple of your heart. All right, let's look at the Seven of Wands. That's been calling to me the whole reading, that Seven of Wands card, because there's an incredibly difficult blockage here for you. We have the Queen of Swords, the Lovers, the Ten of Cups. It was very, very, very difficult for you to cut off some connection in your past. For many of you, you're not going to wonder what connection was this, because you'll know. This was a soul connection. It could have felt fated. You could have felt very tied to whoever was involved here. Many of you could have been married. Many of you could have been, in a relationship for 10, 9, 7, 8 years, something like that, maybe longer. Maybe 18, 19, 20 years even. And it created this blockage in you when you had to cut this off. You cut yourself off from your heart. And that blockage is still there. The doors to the temple are still locked. Let's take a look at the Nine of Wands, the Moon, the Knight of Swords, the Six of Cups. Yeah, you're showing me, well, of course I'm blocked. That shit hurt, That was not easy. That sucked. It's very scary to open up. You're like, I don't want to open up the doors to the temple of my heart. That's private. That's secret. I need to protect that. And whereas in the past you might have been very quick to open your heart or just very excited to open your heart. You're showing me the opposite energy now. You're showing me that Knight of Swords comes through as like the knight that's guarding the temple. That's saying, oh, intruder, I gotta go protect my heart. And you also sort of shifted into this very analytical space, this very mental space. You know, if it doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep it away. Very logical, very rational, and it comes from that protective place. But it's not like you opened your heart for no reason. You know, in the past, you opened your heart for a reason. Someone, you know, made you feel safe enough to do that. And then with that Devil and the Ten of Wands in the recent past, I see it spiraled into something toxic, something unhealthy, and you're like, I will do whatever it takes to keep that energy out. I don't want toxic, I don't want drama, I don't want unhealthy, I don't want codependence, any of that. If someone shows even a little bit of a red flag, I'm keeping them out. But not all situations are the same, Sagittarius, and that situation happened under specific circumstances as well. And there's something here about needing to trust yourself that you have learned the lesson that you need to learn, and that when you open up your heart again, you're not going to do the same thing. You're not going to repeat it. And so there's also this fear of the unknown as well, where it's like, well, if I can't guarantee what's going to happen, I don't want to unlock the doors to the temple. You know, you're like, show me 3 forms of ID and, you know, your mother's maiden name, and then maybe I'll unlock the door, you know. Okay, for the 7 of Pentacles, we get the 7 of Cups in the reverse, the Ace of Wands, and the 3 of Wands. You're trying to make sense of everything, find clarity, but I see you feeling very confused. I do see that clarity is going to hit at some point, but it's going to require you to step away from your usual defenses and just feel your feelings. You know, just open that door, at least for yourself, and take a look around the temple of your heart. All right, your advice from the universe. Let's get 3 cards of advice. We have the Temperance card in the reverse, the 4 of Cups, and the Page of Pentacles. There is a lesson here that you're struggling to learn because it's painful, because it's upsetting, and you might be avoiding the pain, and that's okay. But remember that the universe gave you this experience so you could feel it, so you could integrate the lesson, and someone or something is going to come along and knock gently on those temple doors and say, hey, open up. And you're going to want to be ready. You know, you don't want to let those beautiful things that want you to open your heart to them pass you by. And so keep going, because you're on the right path, and make sure you're staying open as things come, because you might be pleasantly surprised what knocks on your door. So that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and I'll see you next time.